Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Runes for the 18th day of July, 2019. Well, if this is your first time here, thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. Click subscribe. I'd love you to do that and join our Tarot and Rune family as we chat every day about, well, 4 days a week, not every day, but 4 days a week about how tarot and runes can sort of take us in another direction maybe than we didn't think of before. I'm not really about predictions. I'm more really about, I just view this as influences and things to think about during the day. It might indicate something that's going on for you, or it may not, or it may be something that comes up that you're not aware of yet. But whatever it is, it could help you get through all of it a little bit easier. So that's what we like to do here. Anyhow, today's the 18th, as I said, and that's a 9 energy, so it's an energy of completion. So maybe something is coming to completion or fruition for you today. Or the energy is present to make something like that come to fruition today or completion. Maybe you're moving on to something new, a new project, or gosh, even a new way of thinking. Which we could really use right about now, I think. We're in troubling times. And it just seems to go from bad to worse, doesn't it? And it's exhausting. And I think the cards are showing that. It's showing a move away from seeing the other and instead seeing the other side of self. They seem to be exploring the idea that we really are better together than we are apart. There's a lot of balance of polarity, both within and without, that we're seeing in the cards, because we've lost that. You know, patriarchy has had a firm foothold for a long, long time. And now we're seeing it manifest around the world, not just in our own country, but around the world, where oppression is at an all-time high, where you have countries messing with other countries' elections, you know, like what happened to us. It's continuing to happen in Europe and around. I mean, it's happening. The same folks are doing it. But yet, you know, we want to take money away from election security and cyber hacking, right? Right. That's the thing to do. After we get an election that was so compromised that we have what we have now. So let's just take the money away from you know, researching it and protecting us from it and all of that. Let's not have anybody do that. Throw the doors open. Let them all in. So maybe we're going to see a trend away from that. I don't know. Lots of things are coming out today. Today's a day for illumination as well. Some things are coming to conclusion. We saw, you know, we got the documents from the Cohen search. So now we see even more. Hopefully next Wednesday when Mr. Mueller speaks, we'll get a little bit more there. But he'll likely just affirm what was written. But hearing it in his voice matters, especially when he has to answer questions. He may decline to do some of that, but, you know, we'll get enough. But between that and we see what was in this Cohen document, the search warrant, wow. But then we've always known who individual one is, haven't we? Yeah. But I saved I saved the best for last. Jeffrey Epstein is staying in jail. I'll say it again. The predator is staying in jail. He's looking at 45 years. This dude's never getting out. Finally. Finally. When my father died, he was my abuser. My father died. His wife's daughter contacted me. Now, I don't know these people because I didn't have anything to do with the man who molested me. So when I found out that he died, Uh, aside from some funny business that went on, which my brother and I, thanks to a bank who protected us, that didn't happen, but it started. But when he died, I thought to myself, when that day came, when I would finally hear those words that he was gone, what would I do? What would I feel? Would I feel relief? Would I cry? Would I dance? Would I scream? What would I do? But I'm on the phone with someone I don't know, and I'm being given bank numbers, not all of them, of course, but bank numbers, and ultimately, it all got worked out. But uh, here, I'm having to contain myself. And when she said, "I'm sorry for your loss," I about burst out laughing. I thought to myself, did you know your mother was married to a pedophile? Did you know that? But I didn't. Never said a word. I remember reading the death notice in the paper because I got a copy of it sent to me. My brother sent it to me. He was, yeah. It was a new marriage, but her children were his children and were spoken of that way. But they weren't. They weren't his children. And I wanted to say so badly, would you choose this man for your father, really? If you knew, would you? The predator's in prison. He's going to stay there. Barring anybody interfering. No pun intended. So survivors won one today, is what I'm saying. We can be happy. We got one of them. And we're going to watch, aren't we? Blessings to all of you who were hurt by this man in any way that you either directly or because he trafficked you to other men. Blessings to you. Blessings to all of us. We survived. We're going to win this. Because it's our time now, isn't it? The momentum is there. We'll keep the pressure on. We will. Let's get going on today's reading, though. Enough of this. We don't need to give these people any more attention. Well, we have the High Priestess. Second card of the Major Arcana about balance. We see the pillars, which are a recurrent theme. If you could see behind her, you would see the tree of life behind her there. Pomegranates behind. You see the maiden mother in crone contained within her headdress. You see the cross indicating both horizontal and vertical polarity balancing. As above, so below. Polarity on the horizontal plane. We see the Torah of knowledge in her right hand, or on her lap at least. Her foot is resting on a crescent moon in the maiden phase, suggesting beginnings. The High Priestess is about secret knowledge. It's about intuition. It's the vibrational aspect of self, essentially, is what she represents. We're here at the doorway into creation. We've come through the alchemical process of the magician, and now we move to the High Priestess, where she's going to bring us through the veil down into the abyss and into form, where Empress picks up and manifests. But she's part of the vibrational energy of balance, the balance between, again, between spirit and form, the as above, so below nature of life. And then from there, on the manifested plane, on the physical plane, she's about the polarity there, masculine and feminine, or projective or receptive, however you want to think about it. Unfortunately, we get caught up in the male-female part of it because that's how we play it out. You know, we have male people and female people, and so, you know, we start associating certain things with certain qualities with one and others with the other, you know. And so I mean, it's easy to see how patriarchy got started, really, because we forgot the other focus. We forgot the focus of spirit and manifestation and physical form. You know, we forgot about that one. So it's a dual axis that we're in the middle of, basically, that we need to keep a balance of, and that's what you see when you see the cross on the front of the high priestess's gown. That's what we're basically doing here. We're trying to find balance. We're trying to as we go through this doorway into new experiences, we're trying to, you know, hopefully have spirit still inform the process. But of course, that's not what typically happens. What typically happens is ego takes over, and then, you know, it's anyone's guess what happens at that point. You know, do we become all reactive, or are we able to stand back and take a broader view of it? You know. That's what Albus, the geomancy rune yesterday, was trying to suggest, is that we need to step back and not be so much in the mix of things, or in the fray, or in the chaos of all of it. Let's do another card. Well, here we have the Queen of Pentacles. Maybe we're going to have a little peace here. I just love this card. I love her throne. It's just beautiful, isn't it? She sits underneath a garland of roses. She's just in her little sanctuary. She's got her wealth sitting on her lap, obviously. So she's the queen, so she has means, obviously. But her type of authority is one that's more centered and more grounded, more compassionate, more earthy. I mean, think Earth Mother when you or the Empress when you see the Queen of Pentacles. I mean, realistically, that's what she is. She's the mother. She's the caregiver. And here she just wants a little peace and quiet. You know, when we see the pillars of the High Priestess, you know, there's some justice there as well. And that's been fleeting, hasn't it? Or I should say non-existent. For the predator to get the kind of deal he got before. And then I read yesterday, there's an article out that says he reoffended while he was actually on work release, while he was supposed to be in jail. He reoffended. Yeah, Alex Acosta should have never been given the cabinet position. He just never should have been. I think when we find out what was really going on there, oh boy. And that's my point. You know, we need to have a new beginning. And the High Priestess, we need a new direction. One that is not based on this debauched need for service to self orientation. I don't know, because it goes to a level of debauchery and sadism and all of these things that I thought we sort of all agreed weren't okay. So with the High Priestess, you know, we need to use our inner awareness. We need to have a return to spirit, and to understand that whatever this is going on, that's been going on, this debasing of women, this debasing of young girls, I mean, it isn't just young girls he was involved with. He was also involved with young models, young college age girls that might have been of age to engage with him, but certainly not, intellectually or emotionally aware enough to do any of this. They didn't do this of their own volition. They didn't realize how they were being used and manipulated. So I think with the high priestess, we have a decision to make. The two is about decision. It's about balance. It's about bringing things back into balance, choosing to do that. Because let's face it, it usually takes a choice to do that. I mean, sometimes things calm down on their own, but in the case of this, no. And now with the Queen of Pentacles, we need a timeout. We need a timeout from all of the chaos and all of the hate and the just the ickiness of what's going on. Well, Temperance. 15th card of the Major Arcana. We see an angel. And the angel's pouring water. 1 foot on the land, 1 foot in the water. What this has to do with is blending will with emotion. Tempering arrogance with compassion. You can think of it that way. Getting the right mix. Again, it's very much akin to the Chariot yesterday of knowing when to act or control and when to allow and to sit back. Striking that right balance. It's fine to assert yourself, but sometimes we go too far. Sometimes we offend when we mean to heal. Sometimes even our mouths get away from us. Our intention gets away from us. It's like the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's one of those things. You get ahead of yourself and you don't stay in balance with anything. And again, we have to think about when we talk about the Queen of Pentacles, we also, when we're talking about Pentacles, we're talking about the earth element. And we can talk about that in terms of our money and foundation and home and all of that stuff, right? But that's the physical manifestation. When you look at how we temper will with emotion and intellect, when we take the other 3 elements, air, fire, and water, when we take those 3 elements, it kind of determines in a real sense, or at least it manifests who we are. So part of how I interpret the earth element, part of how I interpret Pentacles as well, is who are we? Who are we at our core? Are we people, again, that get out of balance with others? Are we people that want to have all of the control? Or do we understand that we have to have time where we don't do that, where we let someone else take the reins? Is it all about us, or is it all about the collective consciousness? I mean, it's easy to see. The weather is a good example. You can have a lot of wind that can do a lot of damage, or you can have a breeze that cools us. So again, extremes, balancing extremes. We see a lot of evidence of extremes right now. Unfortunately, it's not enough of the voices raised to protect against the voices that are raising to harm. So therein lies the biggest imbalance of all. And the only way that you're going to correct that imbalance is to think in terms of how spirit affects all of it. Are you beginning in spirit with your thought process, with your behavior? Does it begin there? Are you the creator, you know, at the rally, spewing out the hate speech? Is that the creator doing that? Or is that the ego run amok? Excuse me. There's a directionality here in this reading. I'm gonna draw a rune. I'm not gonna do any more cards here. Not when I begin with a major card and end with a major card that pretty much is about the same kind of thing. Although with the High Priestess, this is a beginning card, okay? We're the beginnings of it. The impetus for it, I guess I should say, instead of the beginnings, maybe the impetus is a better word for it. But then ultimately, for us to really be who we truly are, which is the creator manifested into form, we have to find a way, once we get here, to stay in harmony, both inside and out, you know, both internally and externally with others. We have to find a way to stay in harmony. And here we have Alys, which is the 15th rune of the Elder Futhark. Resembles the elk. You can see the antlers up there pointing to spirit, air, fire, and water, with earth down below. So either we're raising to spirit, or spirit is informing the physical presence. Either way, this is an as above, so below rune. It represents the rainbow bridge, the Bifrost bridge of consciousness. It again, it's all about energy, spiritual energy coming into form, and then, you know, that as above, so below energetic exchange. I think, unfortunately, because we've lost that vertical plane awareness, if you want to call it that, and we have only horizontal plane awareness. The horizontal plane, unfortunately, is the plane of ego, and it's the plane of physical form. If we aren't influenced by spirit, then, you know, I think it's pretty evident that that's why we have what we have now. All of the chaos, all of the patriarchy, all of the stuff that shouldn't be happening. I've knocked a candle over there. Let's do a geomancy rune to kind of tie all this together. Before I do that, let me see if I can see. So that's a 6 and a 2 is 8. That's, yeah, I mean, that's even, well, temperance is 15, card 15, as is Alys, so there's synchronicity there. Definitely then, it isn't just about, you know, the presence of the angel indicates spirit is controlling that process of temperance. So right there, it tells you, followed by Alys, let's leave the order the way that it is. But both 6 energies here, higher self-influencing, again with the 2, we're moving down into form with that vibrational energy. And the Queen, you know, she just wants some peace. She just wants everything to settle down. Trust again, you know, trust one another again. I dropped my magnifying glass. All right, well, now, if you've not seen geomancy done before, I always go over this. I have 4 runes. One has a single dot on one side, a dual dot on the other. And they go in the order of air, fire, water, and earth. Oh my goodness. Well, we have endings. We have Caput Draconis. No, not Caput. We have Cauda. Caput is beginnings. That would have been cool. All right. Little lesson on the nodes of the moon. I hope I do this right. The north node indicates our future. The south node indicates the past. Cauda Draconis is about the past. It relates to the south node of the moon. And so What this is suggesting is that we need an end to the chaos. We need an end to the isms. We need an end to all of the nonsense that's going on right now. In other words, we need an end to the expressions of patriarchy that are driving our lives. I know it sounds cliche to talk about patriarchy, but that's what it is, okay? It's what drives pedophilia. It's what drives sexual abuse. It's what drives rape. It's what drives inequality. It's what drives oppression. It's what's driving what's happening at the border. It drives everything. So what Cauda Draconis is suggesting is that we need an end to the past. We need an end to the things that are causing us grief now. And so for the predator who's now going to stay in jail because he didn't get bail today, we see some endings there, don't we? That's a good thing. Maybe he doesn't think so, but the rest of us, oh, absolutely. Whether we were involved with this man or not, if we are survivors, we are thrilled to see this type of ending. But the other ending we need to see is the focus only on horizontal energies, horizontal types of balance, the horizontal plane, the plane of manifestation. We've forgotten spirit. We wouldn't be here without spirit focusing into form. And it's not like a water faucet where, okay, let's turn on, we'll come into form, we'll turn it off, and we'll work our way back to where we can turn the faucet on again. No. Spirit is here all the time because that's what we are. It's a matter of focus. It's a matter of attention. Who are we paying attention to? The ego or to the voice in our head going, what are you doing? Because it's there. You know it. We all know it. We all hear it. We all feel it. We just need to start paying attention to it. We need to start manifesting from that perspective. And that's what the cards seem to be telling us all of the time now. But I love that this is Cauda, really, instead of Caput. Caput Draconis, again, is about beginnings. But beginnings of what? And the nodes are really positions in the sky, right? They're really positions. They're not really a thing. But yet, they almost hold the key to everything, where they are in our natal chart. They almost hold the key to everything. If we turned all these upside down, it would kind of look like Cauda. Oh, I should show you what it looks like. I don't know what I'm doing here, sitting here talking, but I'll show you rather than making you suffer through me drawing it out. Okay. And then I can talk about, oh, is it? No, that's not it. Ooh, is this it? No, that's Caput. Where's Cauda? Oh, there it is. Okay. These are the head of the Caput Draconis is the head of the dragon, and Cauda Draconis is considered the tail of the dragon. Okay. So you can see, kind of resembles Alyi's upside down or reversed. It almost looks like a chicken foot, doesn't it? But here you have Cauda Draconis. You have 3 single dots, which are active influences, and 2, and one set that's a dual dot, which is a passive influence. Almost like the energy goes downward and then terminates, right? Whereas if you turn it around and you have it as Cauda Draconis, which is this way, you can see how the energy pushes upward and continues. Whereas the other side, it terminates. So that's where we get the whole idea of endings, anyhow. And given that it represents, the north or the south node of the moon, that you're talking about past and past influences, it all has to end. We all have to come back into balance, and it all has to be done via spirit. Spirit has to be the impetus behind all of it as we blend will with emotions, compassion with arrogance. And I realize not everything willful is arrogant, okay? I realize that, but I'm trying to do it in terms of extremes here because it really feels like that's what we're dealing with. And then we ended up, card-wise, we ended up with an 8 energy, which is an even greater, you know, at 6, we have higher self energies. We're becoming aware of other people and that we're not the only one in the world. With you magnify that a little more with the 8. And so you've really got a spirit influencing the process. We're talking spiritual warrior. We're talking justice, leadership skills, but skills that are an awareness that is more about the collective than simply about the self. So you can see that progression to the greater aspect of who we are, you know, in the numbers here, in the numerology. So, oh, one thing. I don't know if I showed this to you. Did I show you? I started this a couple of times today. Well, you know, Mercury's in retrograde. What are you going to do? I don't know if I showed you this. I might have done it on some of the other ones, but you know, this was the bind rune I did for Maiden Moon. So there was that. If you want to go over to the blog at imsteppingaside.com and take a look at that post, you can see what that's all about. And then I also said that I was going to show you, and I take whatever bottles I get, you know, from the store, and I reuse them, I repurpose them. This is a sweet chili bottle. Anyway, this is not sweet chili sauce. This is St. John's wort oil. You take the flowers and you take them fresh, and because you never put fresh anything into oil, you have to use cheesecloth, just that single layer of cheesecloth for the lid so that the gases escape. Otherwise, it gets emulsified and it spoils. Anyway, but you use St. John's wort flowers, and you sit it out in the sun. Okay, this is one of those things you do with solar. You can do solar infusions on everything, really, but in this one in particular, really gets a nice red color. But newsflash, it will do it anyway. This is some tincture that I'm doing, so you see it's going to be the same red color. This is alcohol tincture. And again, this is in Clear Springs because it's fresh flower, and you want to make sure that you account for the water content. When you use fresh herb, you always want to use grain alcohol. And this is Clear Springs. Everclear is another brand. It's almost 100% alcohol though, so you want to make sure that you strain it and you dilute it after you strain it before you use it, because you don't want to ingest grain alcohol. You don't. So you would want to dilute this. When I'm done with this, what I'll do is when I dilute it, I'll put about in a dropper bottle, I'll put about 1/3 of the way up with tincture, and then I'll fill the rest with water. If you want to get rid of alcohol completely out of it, you can actually make a glycerate where you take equal parts. Say I could take, if this was a cup or something, or whatever, say I had a cup of this and a cup of glycerin, then I could put them together in a pan and simmer them. If you wanted to use a double boiler, if you wanted to be sure that you didn't boil it, then you could use a double boiler, but you could simmer it and not boil it, just simmer it, never boil it. And then over time, leave it uncovered. And over time, see, then the alcohol will dissipate and you want to reduce it then to a cup. So you start out with 2 cups of liquid. One of it's the tincture, one of it's glycerin, put them together. Now you got 2 cups, and then you reduce it to a cup. And by that time, see, all of your tincture has then infused into the glycerin. And you have, I mean, there might be a little bit of alcohol left in it, but not much. So that's another thing you can do with alcohol tinctures. But by all means, if you're using fresh material, you have to use, you got to use grain alcohol, and you must dilute it when you're done. So, even if you're using dried plant material, and you wanted to do it that way, you can. You probably use, like 80 proof vodka or something, and with that you'd have 40% alcohol. But with 195 proof, you're talking, what is it, 97.5% alcohol. So and that's how you know when you look what the proof is if it's 80 proof, you've got 40% alcohol. It's half. All right, it's going to be reduced by half to know how much alcohol is in it. And 40% is actually quite a bit. I mean, I mean, I wouldn't half and half it, but you could even add, just even if you didn't want to make a glycerate, you could add some glycerin to it, maybe go 2/3 of the way full, and then you could add water or glycerin or whatever, just to reduce it a little bit. All you really need is maybe about 30%, 25, 30% for preservative purposes. So, you can so whatever you do, whenever you tincture, you can always dilute them. You just have to know what you're diluting it to, and you just want to make sure you have it. I like to maintain about 30% alcohol in mine, just to be sure. And for me, since I do simples, I don't really I don't do the whole weight stuff like you would if you were actually doing it to sell. Those you probably want to actually do a weight to alcohol weight, that whole ratio you can do. Um, and there's usually, James Green's book, he's got some stuff. JJ Purcell's got a chart that you can use to see what, in terms of dried material, what your ratio of water to alcohol needs to be for preservative purposes and stuff, and also to strip the constituents from the herb itself. So anyway, so that's just a little bit of herbalism 101 here for you. But I wanted to show you, I said I was going to do that last week because Saturday was the day I got to strain my St. John's wort oil. And so I wanted to come back and show you that on Monday, and I forgot. So anyhow, I wanted to at least do it today and show you what I did. And it's so pretty. If you have a chance to grow St. John's wort, you harvest the flowers. And I'm brutal about it. I just pull off all of it, and if I get a little leaf, but I'm only pulling off about something that's about this much at a time. And so I take the open flowers and the non-open flowers, and I just take the whole thing and just pull them off, and they come back. St. John's wort is basically, once you plant it, you have it. It's perennial, it's prolific, so it's going to spread. Mine hasn't spread too much, not like my mugwort has, but witch issues, you can always use mugwort, smudges, teas, whatever, trance work, flying oil, ointment, all that good stuff. So anyhow, that's enough of that. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, I won't see you tomorrow. This is Thursday, isn't it? I guess I won't see you till Monday. So in any event, thank you so much for coming by, and hopefully you'll come back on Monday. And so we can talk again and see what the cards and the runes have to say. Anyhow, we'll see you Monday. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.